Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Underground Labyrinth of Buda Castle. Underneath the 13th century Buda Castle is a labyrinth of twisting paths, black corridors, and spooky ancient history. The underground caves and passages here were carved out naturally by thermal waters long before prehistoric humans used them as shelter 350,000 years ago. So yes, these tunnels have been used for a very, very long time. There are about 4,000 feet of them underneath modern Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. Buda Castle was built by King Bela IV directly above entrances to the ancient chambers. In the time between then and now, the tunnels were used for some pretty, let's say, interesting things. During the Ottoman occupation, the caves were used as a harem. Several female skeletons have been found deep in the depths of the tunnels, likely victims of some terrible tragedy at the hands of their masters. But the labyrinth was also used as a prison, a torture chamber, and by Dracula himself, though not by choice. In 1462, Vlad Tepes of Wallachia was imprisoned in the dark belly of the labyrinth and brutally tortured. When he exited the cave after unknown years of imprisonment, he went on to become Vlad the Impaler. But there are stranger, more mystical things in the labyrinth as well. There are humanoid statues still standing in the tunnels. So strange, archaeologists have no idea what they are. Considering the tunnels and chambers have been used for some of the darkest practices of humanity since before medieval days, it would be no surprise to learn they were once the meeting place for those practicing dark magic. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but there is just something about the underground labyrinth that attracts the vilest forms of evil. Number 9. The Sculptor's Cave. The Sculptor's Cave is located on the south shore of Moray Firth in Scotland. It earned its name after archaeologists found a series of intricate carvings from 1,500 years ago. Excavations began in 1928 and have been revealing amazing things in the cave ever since. Not only are there mysterious Pictish symbols carved all over the cave's walls, but archaeologists have also found mummified bodies, ancient Roman coins, and pieces of gold jewelry dating back 3,000 years. The ancient people of Moray believed the Sculptor's Cave to be a place of great importance. 3,000 years ago, in what we call the Late Bronze Age, the Moray people brought the remains of dead children here, but they didn't bring them into the cave to bury. Instead, they would mummify the children and then put them on display on racks at the entrance to the cave. For the past century, archaeologists and historians alike have been struggling to figure out why they did such a bizarre thing. The best theory that anyone has is that the Moray people associated the cave with magic. Dr. Lindsey Buster with the University of York suggested prehistoric people viewed the Sculptor's Cave as a mystical place that could touch the afterlife. To help deceased children navigate the treacherous path between life and death, they may have put them at the entrance of the cave to make their journey easier. Researchers believe something about the dark and dank tunnels made them think that by putting the bodies here, the children wouldn't have as far to go when they journey into the underworld. Number 8. Greenan Fort. Legend has it that Greenan of Aileach in Ireland was constructed by a god. In truth, the stone ring fort was built around the year 600. The site itself was used by the original inhabitants of Ireland since 1700 BC. There was always a structure here, though it was often destroyed and then rebuilt. The very last structure was broken to pieces in the year 1101 by King Murdoch O'Brien of Munster. It wasn't discovered again until the 1830s, when it was nothing except a ring of old rocks. The fort is 77 feet wide, and its walls were once 8 feet tall. The remains of a Christian church have been found nearby, as well as burial mounds significantly older. In terms of artifacts, everything from ancient board games to animal bones have been uncovered in and around the site. Considering the hilltop on which the ring fort was built has been an important place for around 4,000 years, it should come as no surprise that the ancients believed it to be a magical place. A very old well behind the walls of the fortress once supplied water to the villagers. These villagers believed the water was magic, able to heal the sick and bring good luck. In the year 450, Saint Patrick was allegedly baptized in that very well by a local chieftain. There is one last bit of magic from inside the ring fort. Well, maybe it's not magic so much as superstition. It's said that if you tell a secret within the walls of the fort, everyone will find out. However, some archaeologists believe the superstition may have stemmed because of the fort's amplifying properties, meaning it was more of a literal warning. If you told someone a secret, your voice would bounce off the walls and everyone would hear you. Number 7. Sumerian Stargate. In the 1920s, a Stargate was allegedly discovered in Baghdad. A Stargate is believed to be an ancient portal created by extraterrestrials. Some believe Stargates were made all over the world so that aliens could come and go as they pleased. They could simply walk through a Stargate and be standing on Earth. While none of this has ever been verified, there are plenty of theories. Some believe aliens used the Stargates to visit ancient civilizations and bestow secret knowledge upon them, thereby pushing humanity into the modern age. The alleged Stargate in Iraq would have originally been installed about 5,000 years ago in what was then ancient Mesopotamia. It was the Sumerians who would have seen the installation of the Stargate and who would have witnessed the aliens walking through it as if by magic. This leads ancient alien theorists to believe that the gods and aliens were perhaps the same. For those who don't know, it was the Sumerians who worshipped the Anunnaki. Historians say the Anunnaki were nothing but made-up deities, no different from Zeus or Poseidon. But there are still people out there who believe they were actually aliens. There are even ancient pieces of artwork left behind by the Sumerians that show strange humanoid creatures appearing through gateways that look an awful lot like portals. This Stargate was supposedly discovered in the ancient city of Ur, then taken and hidden somewhere unknown. We have absolutely no proof of this, only vague stories. Some have even suggested that America invaded Iraq in the 1980s to steal the Stargate from them and gain control over it. Do you think Stargates could actually exist? Let me know your wildest theories in the comments below. Number 6. Egyptian colony in the Grand Canyon. Not only is the Grand Canyon one of the most spectacular natural wonders in the world, it's also a magical place that may have once been visited by an advanced civilization. Maybe even the Egyptians. They may have been so far ahead of the curve that they traveled across the globe and set up a great colony on the floor of the Grand Canyon thousands of years ago. We don't know how they may have done this. It's possible they had a navy capable of sailing across the open ocean. Some have even suggested they used portals, like the Stargate I just told you about. It all comes down to a story published in April of 1909 by the Phoenix Gazette. They claimed a necropolis filled with Egyptian mummies and other similar artifacts was discovered in the Grand Canyon. Statues, swords, everything you could think of. It was all found hidden inside of an extremely remote part of the canyon, a part that today is unknown. Our closest marker is El Tovar Crystal Canyon, which is supposed to be about 2 miles from the site of the colony. The story goes that explorers with the Smithsonian Institution found these incredible Egyptian remains hidden in the canyon, but then the artifacts and the pictures were lost, maybe on purpose, as some part of a big conspiracy. There is no way to prove any of this is actually true, though. Plus, scientists with the Smithsonian Institution have denied all authenticity of the claims. Still, there is something mysterious going on in the Grand Canyon. If it wasn't Egyptians who made a colony down there, perhaps it was an even older race of unknown people. Number 5. The Temple of Hecate. Hecate was the goddess of witchcraft and ghosts. All things magical, creepy, and otherworldly were under her domain. And yet, even though she was a powerful goddess in the Greek pantheon, she never resided on Mount Olympus. She lived in the underworld, where she could go about her ghoulish business in privacy. In Turkey, there is a great temple dedicated to Hecate from 2,050 years ago. Because very little of Hecate has been recorded in historic documents, most of what researchers know about her and the cult that followed her comes from the ruins of temples just like this one. But there aren't very many of them around. This temple is arguably the biggest and most important from the ancient world. Normally, Hecate was worshipped in private. Shrines to her have been found at crossroads, with her image carved above doors and thresholds to offer protection to those inside. Seeing as Hecate was the goddess of witches, this shrine must have been a major place of power. Neo-pagans, practitioners of witchcraft, and every would-be necromancer from before the days of Rome would have sought this temple out. But sadly, no evidence has been left behind of their ceremonies or rituals, whatever they may have been. Number 4. Summoning spirits at Stonehenge. A new theory says that Stonehenge, one of the greatest monuments of the ancient world, was specially designed to summon spirits. We already know how important Stonehenge was to the ancient people. It was clearly a place of great magic, but until now, archaeologists have believed it was used strictly for astronomy, but that may not be the case. Stonehenge may have been a whole lot more magical than anyone could have ever guessed. Believe it or not, it all comes down to sound. New research shows that Stonehenge could have been used as a giant echo chamber to speak directly to the gods. By amplifying their voices, the ancient people who built Stonehenge likely believed they were talking to the very deities they worshipped. According to Stephen J. Waller, a scientific researcher who specializes in archaeology and sound, it goes all the way back to the cavemen. Prehistoric people believed spirits inhabited caves and rocky areas because when they spoke, their voices created echoes. In short, the auditory illusions created by many voices at one time in Stonehenge would have made it seem as if they were summoning the spirits of their ancestors. What do you think of this theory? Let me know in the comments below. Number 3. Naupa Huaca. High up a mountain in the Peruvian Andes, there is a mysterious archaeological site called Naupa Huaca. At the site is an entrance carved in the shape of an inverted V directly into the mountainside. The mysterious entrance was cut into the bedrock and does not appear to go anywhere. It's a door to nothing, marked with similar designs that have been seen in Persia and Egypt. We don't know who built Naupa Huaca. Archaeologists say the design doesn't match anything constructed by the Inca. Whoever carved the entrance into the mountain most likely came before them, maybe even before the Aymara Civilization. Archaeologists have never been able to surmise a purpose for the mysterious door, but of course, here are some theories. Some say it was a portal that connected Egypt on the other side of the world with the ancient civilization living in the Andes. And here's yet another bizarre connection between Naupa Huaca and Egypt. The length to height ratio of the doorway to nowhere is 3:1, with the ratio of the alcove being 5:6. These ratios match directly to the slopes of the bent pyramid of Egypt. Nobody knows what the significance might mean, but it is a little unusual. Sadly, regular earthquakes in the region have severely damaged the doorway, other mysterious structures in the area, and the temple that once stood there. This has made the mysteries of Naupa Huaca even more difficult for modern archaeologists to unravel. In the end, professionals dismissed the doorway as nothing but architectural curiosity. It's the more radical researchers who believe it could be a portal. Number 2. Cave of Evil. In an English cave system called the Creswell Crags, hundreds of strange markings were found etched on the walls. Researchers say these were protective markings designed to ward away evil spirits, put there by a witch. The cave is located in the East Midlands. Until just recently, the markings had actually been written off as graffiti. It wasn't until one of the visitors on a tour noticed they seemed important that academics really took notice. Since then, they've been studied and identified, linked directly to similar markings found in houses, churches, and other caves from between 1550 and 1750. These markings were often used to ward away sickness, death, and malicious spirits. In the case of these caves, the markings were almost certainly etched onto the walls by a witch to keep evil inside. One of the marks was translated roughly to "turn away." What researchers believe is that the locals were terrified of some kind of magical evil lurking inside the subterranean cave system. Their solution to the problem, to keep at bay whatever evil terrified them so seriously, was to hire a witch to put magical markings near the entrance. Number 1. Portal to the Underworld. In 2008, a Mexican archaeologist allegedly discovered a forgotten underground cave system that the Maya believed led to the underworld. Archaeologist Guillermo de Anda says a network of tunnels and chambers beneath farmland and jungle on the Yucatan Peninsula was once used by the Maya as sort of a highway through hell. They built temples down here in the grimy dark to mimic the journey through Xibalba, the Mayan underworld. And while there are plenty of mysterious caves throughout the old Maya world, this system is different. There are staircases etched into the natural stone, collapsed altars dedicated to gods of death, swarms of bats, walls of rock sharp as knives, and caverns so cold it feels like you could get hypothermia. Guillermo believes the Maya used these different caves to simulate various stages of the journey every dead person must make when traveling to Xibalba. This journey included things like wading through rivers of bubbling pus, traversing lakes of poisonous scorpions, fighting through caverns of jaguars, and completing other awful trials. Either that, or the Maya quite literally thought that by traveling through these treacherous caves and getting to the end, one may actually walk through a portal and wind up in the underworld. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and join the Origins Explained family. See you next time for more archaeological discoveries. Bye!